Hello everyone, welcome back. I received a really good question from one of my viewers. Is it ever a good idea to shoot without ear protection so that your ears can get used to the loud noise in case you're ever in a true self-defense situation where the ear pro may not be available to you? And the short answer to that is absolutely not. No, don't do that. It's not going to help you. You're not going to get used to it. You're just going to get ear damage. So let's talk about how the eardrum works. Okay, the eardrum, okay, is elastic, so it's like this rubber band over here. Okay, so I got this rubber band here. I cannot make this rubber band stronger by overstretching it. Okay, so what happens is as I overstretch it, right now I'm overstretching it. I can feel it kind of tearing in my fingers a little bit at the ends. So as I overstretch it, I do a little bit of damage to it, right? And what happens is it becomes looser and becomes a little bit longer, but it does not get stronger, okay? So eardrum being elastic works exactly the same way. When it hears a sound, a normal sound, stretch it a little bit, which, you know, that's the audio that we feel. If you overstretch it, it's just like this rubber band. You overstretch it, it starts to tear, and eardrums do not repair themselves, so the damage is cumulative. It keeps adding up, right? So it's just like this rubber band here. Every time I overstretch it, I tear it a little bit. Well, if I now leave it on the table, this is not going to repair itself, right? That's not how rubbery things works. That's not how. So the eardrum being elastic works the same way. Once you overstretch it, you get a little bit of damage. It's never repaired, okay? And you're just left with that damage, which you might interpret as getting used to something, right? Getting used to loud noises, but that's not what's happening. It's not that you're getting used to loud noises. You have just damaged your ears so that now you cannot hear as well, all right? So, and you may perceive that as having gotten used to it, okay? So you cannot strengthen your eardrums, okay? You can only damage them, okay? So that's how it works with your eardrum. So let's talk about a self-defense situation. How do you deal with that? Well, here's the thing. In my house, I have my safes. In each of my safes, I have electronic earmuffs, and I also have iPro. So if I were to go to my safe to get a rifle, right, I would automatically get the rifle, get the glasses, get the earpro. Okay, so I mean, why would I get the rifle and not get my glasses and not get my earpro? Really important, especially in a home defense situation. First of all, if I do end up in a shooting type of situation, and you hit first of all, you're gonna hit, let's say you hit sheetrock, pieces of wood, whatever, all that stuff can splinter back into your eyes, right? Even sheetrock, dust, all that, if it gets into your eyes, you're not gonna be able to see, so it's gonna make you less combat effective, okay, if you can't see. The other thing is with the ears, you know, I'm sure at some point or another, people have shot a pistol without ear pro. I've done it by accident. Never want to do it intentionally. I've done it by accident. And what happens after you do it, it's like, boom, okay, now you can't hear as well, right? Your ears get a little bit numbed. You hear maybe a little bit of ringing. Well, if you hear a couple more gunshots like that, you start hearing less and less. So with every gunshot, as your eardrum gets overstretched, you're going to, you know, in a self-defense type of situation, you're going to be hearing less and less. So what that means is now you cannot hear sounds around the house. And that's bad twofold. Number one, you can't hear the bad guys, right? You can't hear if they're breaking a window or breaking through a door, or even the creaking, right? You want to be able to hear the creaking as they come maybe up the stairs. That's one of the things that makes electronic earmuffs so good, is they actually amplify the sound. You can actually hear a little bit better. And then if the noise level goes too high, they cut it off. So the electronic ones improve your hearing. So I want to be able to hear as much as possible and see as much as possible in a self-defense type of situation. So I want to have my ear pro on. I want to have my electronic, I want to have my eye protection on. I want to have my ear pro on so I can hear even the slightest sounds, right? The other thing that's really important is I want to be able to hear other members of my family that are in the house, right? So I want to be able, so not only do I have ear pro for myself, but I also have electronic earmuffs for my wife. because I need her to be able to hear me. I got to be able to hear her. We need to be able to communicate with each other. She has to be able to communicate to me. You know, I might tell her, listen, go by the window. Let me know how many cars are out there. Let me know if the police pull up. All these things, right? I got to be able to hear this stuff. And if I'm deaf, right, temporarily deaf, I'm not going to be able to hear it. So in a gunfight situation, it is really important for me to try and preserve my ears, first of all, so I can get through that gunfight and survive it, okay? So in a situation where we're planning for home defense, right? You're planning for home defense. You're planning to have your guns. You plan to have loaded magazines. You know, you have a place. You know, you have a plan to go get your guns. Well, included in that plan has to be your ear pro and your eye protection. Okay, that's part of your plan, right? You need all those things, not just half of the things, right? You know, you're not going to get your gun and not take the magazines, right? Not take the ammunition that goes into the gun. So, you know, you got to take everything. You need your gun. You need ammunition for the gun. You know, you also need your ear protection. You need your eye protection, because if you lose either of those senses, you are going to be at a significant disadvantage. Okay, so you got to be able to hear and see bad guys. You also have to be able to hear and see the other members in your family, so you can communicate with them, know where they are, if they move, or if they see stuff happening outside through the window, they got to communicate that to you. Really important. Now, especially in a self-defense type of situation where you're inside the house, if gunfire goes off, it's nothing like being outdoors. You will definitely, like, your eardrums will definitely get numbed, and you will be, you're going to lose, you're temporarily going to have a massive hearing loss, and that's going to make you less combat effective, okay? So you got to have your eyes and ear pros on, okay? Now, let's talk about situation outside of the house. First of all, I keep ear pros in my truck, okay? Now part of the reason is because a lot of times I might be traveling to different gun ranges. I don't want to forget it. But despite that, I also have it for the purpose that, hey, if I ever do find myself in that type of a situation, if I have the ability to get to my truck and get the ear pro, I'm going to do that, okay? So I definitely keep ear pros in my truck. Now, what happens if you get into a situation where you're unprepared, right? And in that type of situation, you're definitely not going to be using a rifle because you are completely unprepared. All you're going to be able to use is the pistol that you're carrying on you. And really quick, there's like 3 types of self-defense situations. The way I break them up, right, in categories. One is where you're like completely ambushed, right? That's a situation where maybe you don't have time to get to your ear pro. The other one is where you are, where there's where you get lots of preparation, like somebody's breaking into your house. You know that situation where you hear the door breaking, you hear screaming, whatever. Now you got time to get your rifle, you got time to get your ear pro. And the other one's kind of in the middle, where there's an escalation. That's likely to happen outside of your house, because the way most of the self-defense type of encounters happen outside your house is there's usually an escalation. You know, first we start with screaming, you know, yelling, screaming, then maybe we go to fists, and then maybe at some point a weapon is introduced, and, you know, maybe we have to, you know, go to our gun for that, okay? So those are the 3 types of situations. So the one where we're, the one where we get plenty of preparation for, yeah, that's a situation where we would definitely want to try and get to our ear pro. The other 2 where we're ambushed or there's escalation and we're not able to get away from that, we might not be able to get to our ear pro. What happens in that type of a situation? Okay, so the way I have the way I have studied this, right, and I don't know if it's 100% true, but the way, from what I have heard, is in a situation where you are scared for your life, your eardrums tend to relax a little bit, right? So you have to be genuinely scared for your life. Your eardrums tend to relax a little bit. So I've heard, and that allows you, you know, when that loud bang happens, the sound hits your eardrums, which are slightly relaxed, right? You know, so instead of being like super taut, so that the sound hits this, if your eardrum is normally this tight, if it relaxes a little bit like this, and a loud sound hits it, it's less likely to overstretch it. So in that type of situation, if this is true, and I don't know if it's 100% true, but this is what I've heard from a couple of sources. But in a situation like that where you are terrified, your eardrums relax a little bit, you're less likely, or you're likely to have less ear damage. Okay, so that is if that is true, that is a situation that you cannot replicate at the gun range because you're not terrified, right? You know, there's certain things that we simply cannot replicate. You can't replicate a situation where you are truly terrified to force your eardrums to relax so that they can accept that loud sound, okay? So I'm just kind of putting that out there. I have heard of it more than once or twice, but, you know, I'm not even saying believe that 100%. I'm just putting that out there as a possibility. And when I heard about this was the explanation that was given why in a self-defense type of situation, a lot of times people claim to not hear the gun sounds or to not hear stuff, right? You know, they call it auditory exclusion. And the explanation that I have heard is in that situation where you're terrified, your eardrums relax, and that's why you can't hear the gunfire, but you can't hear other things as well, and you have that auditory exclusion. So something to consider. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, it is never a good idea to practice at the gun range without ear protection to try and somehow prepare your ears, because it just doesn't work that way. You're not going to prepare your ears. You're just going to damage your ears. You can't create a situation. You can't really simulate a situation where you are truly terrified to the point where your eardrums would relax. Okay, if that's true. So and ideally, even in a true self-defense type of situation, if you have the option to get to ear protection, you would want to. But also, in a situation where, again, a true self-defense type of situation, where let's say you can't get the ear protection, and you do actually damage your ears. Well, if it only happens once in your life, maybe, right? How often do you get in a true self-defense type of situation where you have to go to your gun, right? Maybe it'll happen once in your life, you know, in a civilian setting, maybe twice. I mean, I don't know where you live if that happens to you twice in life, but I don't want to live there. But if it happens to you once or twice in your life, you know, the damage is going to be that one time. However, if you're doing this regularly at the gun range to try and toughen up your ears, you're constantly overstretching them. You're just going to make them deaf. So don't do that. Speaking of ear pros, like I said, here I have the electronic ones. The way these work, well, these electronic ones, these are the regular ones that you normally see me shooting here. When I'm training people, I usually just use the cheap $15 to $20 ones. The reason why I use this is because a lot of times, a lot of the people don't have electronic ears. So if I use electronic ears while I am training people, I may not speak loud enough because I might think that everybody's got electronic ears and they can hear me. So that's why when I'm training people, I just use the regular ones, unless there's something really specific that we're doing where I really have to be able to hear stuff better. But that's why I normally just use the cheapos. They work good. In fact, I think they actually work even better than these, because these I had to, I actually had to bend these to kind of tighten them up. So you want your ear protection to be tight, so you have a nice tight seal. If that seal is broken, you're gonna sound is gonna leak in through the seal. So these are the electronic ones that I have. They're not expensive. I think they were something like $40 or $50 maybe. I've got a couple of these. I keep them at home in my safes, both for me and my wife. I also keep some pairs here. So these are pretty good. If you get electronic ears, make sure you get ones that automatically shut off if you forget to turn them off. So these over here, if I leave them on, right, there's a button here that you rotate. If I forget to leave it on after 4 hours, it's supposed to they're supposed to turn off so I don't run down my battery. And I mean, if you don't get ones that automatically turn off, you will run out your battery. Okay. So make sure you get the ones that with the battery that turns off automatically. So the way these work, if you put these in the off position like they are right now, and I put these on, these work exactly like these work over here, right? So with the electronics switched off, or if I don't put a battery in there, these two work exactly the same way. When I turn it on, right, and there's actually a volume here, so you can actually make it pretty loud. When you turn them on, the way it works is a microphone on the outside, and there's a speaker on the inside. Okay, so remember, when I put this on, there's a tight seal here, but what happens is the sound hits the microphone through here, and then basically it sends it to the speaker that's on the inside, and I can hear at a normal level, or actually I can even turn it up so I can hear at an amplified level. And that might be very useful in a self-defense situation, because you want to be able to hear as much as possible. So or for self-defense or even a hunting type of situation, I would crank up the volume on this so you can hear as much as possible. But then if there's that loud sound, like from gunfire, it automatically mutes it, right? And you can actually feel the sound come down and then go back up at the moment of that loud bang. But another way to kind of envision this is, a lot of times you guys see me shooting here, right? The sound that you hear is nowhere near what the sound actually is, right? And that's because there's a limit to what the microphone on the camera can accept, and there's a limit to the amount of sound that the speaker of whatever you're listening to me through can project, okay? So the electronics naturally limit the sound, so this kind of works the same way, because there's a microphone on one side, a speaker on the other side, and both of these things are limited, right? So that's why, this, so this works like regular, like same as these earmuffs, except the microphone and the speaker are somewhat limited, so that you don't hear that super loud sound. And beyond that, it actually brings it down a little bit more. Yeah, definitely recommend this. Keep this at home next to your self-defense guns. Keep it in your car. Basically, it's all part of being prepared, right? I mean, we go through a lot of trouble to carry this. Why wouldn't I have that in the car, right? If I'm going to have this on my body, why wouldn't I have this in my car and then another one home in my safe, right? You want to be, why go halfway with the preparation? Go all the way. So a couple of things for you guys to think about. Drop some comments below. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe, and also follow me on Odyssey, which is an uncensored channel. Odyssey is spelled ODYSEE.com, and my channel name over there is Pocono Tactical. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all soon.